Hi, I'm Rebekah. Most of you will probably know me. I go to Trinity Grey Abbey. I grew up in Grey Abbey and I'm the oldest of two children. I have a younger brother, Adam. So growing up was pretty normal, just the four of us in the house. Like I say, a really normal childhood. And from a young age we were encouraged to go to Sunday school, so I suppose that sort of started my journey of faith. I went to Trinity and I went to Cardi as well, and I suppose they really formed a good foundation for me of knowing about the Bible and knowing really what a Christian was. I also had very influential great-grandparents who were Christians, and like I say, they really influenced my life as well as gave me sort of a knowledge of what faith was. So they were really important to me, and I was very fortunate to have them right up into my teens as examples. So a bit about how I came to faith. I was 18 and I remember in the January of 2012 just having this real desire to go to church. I suppose it sort of stemmed from youth club, because I seen the sort of church kids, if you like, interacting with each other, and it just looked like something I wanted to be part of. So I started going to church at the end of January in that year, and a few weeks after I had been at church I was encouraged to go to Vibe, as it was then, and I was really nervous about the first week because I thought, am I going to fit in? Am I sort of going to be left to the side on my own? But it couldn't have been further from what I had imagined. I was welcomed. I was just sort of made to feel like I had always been there, and that was a really important part of my journey because I felt so welcome. And like I say, I went to Vibe for a number of weeks, and as well as that, at the time I'd started sort of having conversations with one of my teachers who was a Christian, and she didn't teach me anymore, but I tended to stop in with her every so often after classes before I drove home. And I remember on the Monday she gave me a devotional book, and I said thank you, and I said I would read it, and I did. And I kind of suppose I did get stuff from it, but on the Friday I read it as I had been the previous days, and I had also started to go to SU in school, and I went in that day and there was a guest speaker, and when he spoke of what I had read in the devotional that morning, and it was as though there was no one else in the room but me and God. God was, he literally could have been standing in front of me. I knew he was speaking to me, and I didn't really sort of make an action at that exact time, but it was all I could think of on the way home. And I went to youth club as normal that Friday night, and I remember saying to my best friend, I won't be going back to school on Monday unsaved. And when I went home, I can nearly tell you the very time, it was around about 11 o'clock on that Friday night, and I went into my room onto my knees and just started crying. And I wouldn't have said that I was necessarily a bad kid, but I just realised that I really needed Jesus in my life, and I prayed on my knees that night in my room, and it was incredible. It was my big exciting moment, and like I say, I was just in floods of tears of joy at the fact that what I had wanted, what I had seen these people have, I could now have for myself. So that's a bit about sort of how I came to faith. Life went on not necessarily as normal, because things do change and there is an exciting fire whenever you first get saved, but in terms of life at home and life at school, it was very much the same as it had been. But in the September of that year, I started university, and that's whenever I really felt the first time that I really leaned on God. I struggled immensely through university. I didn't enjoy it. It was a real chore for me, even though I thought this was exactly what I wanted to do. It was really a stressful time for me, and I've always been quite an anxious person, but I remember around Easter time of 2013 making an appointment with the doctor because I was so anxious. So anxious that anytime I was meeting someone who I hadn't seen for maybe a month or so, or anytime I was going out anywhere new or anything like that, I was physically sick with nerves and anxiety, and I knew it couldn't go on, so I made the appointment with the doctor. And on the Thursday before my first year of doing Bible camp, I was put on antidepressants. I never thought I was depressed. I never would have thought that the way I was feeling was depression. I knew I was anxious, but I thought it was just part of me because that's the way I've always been. But I thought this was great. Medication, started it on the Thursday, went to camp on the Saturday, didn't sleep on the Saturday night, thought it was just sort of excitement. The whole day on Sunday I spent in bed because I felt so ill, and on the Sunday night then I didn't sleep at all because I was so sick, and I had to drive home on the Monday morning because I was absolutely no use to anyone. And I remember driving home thinking, why? I suppose I was confused and maybe even a wee bit angry with God because I felt like I was doing this work for God and He wasn't letting me enjoy it and experience it really. But it turned out that I had just had a reaction to the tablets that I took, and I got home and I got some rest, which I really needed, and God really taught me a lesson through that, was to slow down, because I had just been going 100 miles an hour and I just needed to slow down. And I did get back to camp for the last day, which was amazing. Just being with the kids and teaching them, and I got to enjoy 2 more years of that Bible camp. I was determined the next year that I would last a full week, and I did. And I learned so much from that. Although I was going as a leader, I probably learned as much as I taught, really. I got to work with people who have been Christians for a long time and learn from them. It was so much fun, and yeah, I just really felt that God was blessing me through this, as well as using me to teach children. And God really was incredible. I remember running out of internet on one of the first couple of days, so I had no phone even to look at, so it was just fully focused on God, and I've never experienced anything like it. It was amazing, and God really did, He blessed me incredibly through it. I mentioned that I've always been quite an anxious person, and that is true. I've also made some other decisions in life that have come with me into my Christian life as well. They were there before and they're still there now. It was I like to control everything, so I suppose that those decisions were made because I felt like I could control those situations, and I know that that's not true, but good friends helped me through those situations, Christian friends, who were able to spot that I wasn't okay, and really were good at holding me accountable for those things. And that just makes me think, I'm very much an advocate of coming to God as you are, and that doesn't mean that you come with what the world thinks you should be, what weight the world thinks you should be, what you should look like, what your lifestyle should be, what kind of car you drive, none of that. And that's been a big lesson that God has taught me over the years, that He doesn't care what I look like or what weight I am. He just cares that I come to Him, and it's such a joy to be able to just walk with Him. So I mentioned the struggle with uni, and in 2016 I graduated, which was nothing short of a miracle, really. So that was obviously a really high point. The rest of 2016 was difficult. I had a relationship breakdown, I had a number of friendships break down, and shortly into 2017, my mum was diagnosed with breast cancer, and I didn't really cope with it at the start, but I had amazing friends who helped me through that time. I had, for most of that year already, been working on a Sunday, so I hadn't really got to church, and that was obviously difficult. But when I handed in my notice to that particular job, I was allowed to have some Sundays off, and I had started to go to church again, and I really felt like God prepared me for that, because He was helping me build my faith again. It's so easy to fall out of the way of things whenever you're working every Sunday and you don't. I'm a massive advocate of fellowship, and I wasn't getting any of that. Even if I was getting the Bible study, I hadn't been there the Sunday before to know what we were really talking about it, so I was isolated from that as well. So God did really, really prepare me for that, and while I struggled with the fact that my mum was dealing with this, I said I had an incredible support network. I'll never forget my mum having her first session of chemotherapy, and one of my friends taking me to her house for the whole day, and she said that, you can come to my house and I'll make you dinner. I ended up making the dinner, but that was irrelevant. That's a joke that we continue to share, but I had a fantastic support network around me who just checked in with me every now and again just to see how I was coping with things. So for the best part of a year it was a difficult time, but God was amazing through it, and prayer was crucial to us as a family at that time as well. So I really appreciated the people that God put in my life at that time, even people that maybe I wouldn't have been massively close with before were there for me. Since then it's been sort of fairly normal until April of last year, when I got a phone call from Neil to ask me to come in and meet him, and asked me would I take on the role of leader in charge of K4C, and I was so chuffed to be asked. I continuously say to the leaders of K4C, every time I have a meeting with them or we're praying together, I always say what a privilege it is, and that is probably the ministry that I feel most passionate about, that I'm involved in. I know how important my Sunday school leaders and teachers were to my life, and the seed that they planted in me. So I want to be able to do that for children as well. And like I said, K4C is amazing. I have a great team behind me, and things are strange at the minute, but God is doing mighty things through that ministry. And like I said, it's the one I probably feel most passionate about, because it's the one that I got involved in right away. I've been teaching Sunday school now for something like 7 years, and I still love it every bit as much now as I did then. So that's really obviously important. The now is unknown. Over lockdown I was made redundant from my job, and I genuinely don't know what's next. And for someone who is generally a bit of a control freak, I'm taking it surprisingly well. I don't know what's next for me for work. I'm in a relatively new relationship, and I've just signed up to do a degree, and I'm not one bit frightened about it, because I know this is God's plan, and I am just following His plan and His path for my life. I don't know what's next, but God will guide me through it, and I know that, and He already is. So I'm excited to see what's next, and excited to see what God does in our church and in our village, because lockdown has, while it's been a really difficult time, it's also been incredible how the community's pulled together. So I'm excited just to see what is going to happen next, and I've given it to Him. So I just wanted to, before I finish off, I just wanted to ask you, are the hurdles in your life the same as the ones that were in mine? I was terrified what my friends would think before I became a Christian. I was terrified that they would think I was odd, that I would have to give up things that I really enjoyed doing, and that I had time. God will remove those issues, and I'm always so inspired by the people that say, God equips the called. He doesn't call you because you're equipped. He will give you everything you need. And what's stopping you? So I hope that there's something in my story that you can identify with, something that might mean something to you. And if God is really speaking to you, speak to someone that you trust. Like I said, I'm very fortunate to have a number of friends around me, and people that I trust, people of amazing faith. So find someone that you trust and speak with them about it. It's honestly the best decision you could ever make, is to walk with God, and He'll walk with you. And in the tough times, I just love the footprints in the sand thing. He'll carry you in the difficult times. It's not easy. By no means am I saying that the Christian walk is an easy life. It's absolutely not. But you get to do it with someone who loves you, who walks beside you and cares for you unconditionally. And what could be better than that? Thank you.